It's taken me a little over 3 weeks to manage to sit here and reflect on what happened on that first night of practice at the Manx Grand Prix. It's definitely not been the easiest or the most straightforward number of weeks. And I've been a very lucky fella, to be fair, to still be here and sort of struggle for words in a respect, and I didn't think I would, given all the time I've had to reflect on the job and how much thinking time I've had, which in some respects is a great thing, depending on the situation. But sometimes when you're left with your own thoughts and your own head on your own for long periods of time, it doesn't do you any favours either. As this past week has sort of told me, your head is either your best friend or your worst enemy. And don't get me wrong, you know, there's people out there that have been through a whole lot worse than I have, and I've had probably worse crashes than I have, and are still living with the long-term effects of it all. Nobody sort of prepares you for that mental trauma side of things that you have to put yourself through. And there'll be people watching this and there'll be people thinking from the outside in, that lad's a fucking idiot. You know, ultimately, we all know the risks. We all know what could potentially happen and the shit you've got to pull yourself back through when it does go wrong. If you're lucky enough to still be here after having an unfortunate off. Since I started racing in 2016 on the roads, this is the first crash I've ever had on a road racing circuit. Never mind the TT course of all places. And there's not many people that have big ones around there and are still here to tell the tale. You know, it's one thing that obviously I have to look at in a respect of, I was a very fortunate fella. Unfortunately, a couple of hours after my crash, another fellow competitor crashed in exactly the same place, and he's no longer with us. And that was a tough one to swallow when I got the news. They're really, really difficult news to hear, and try and process as well. But like I say, it's taken me just a little over 3 weeks to sit and actually say something about it. Something that was completely out of my control. Wasn't machine fault, wasn't rider fault. It's just something happened. Something was on the road, and inevitably it led to my crash. But the way I'm looking at it is, it's water under the bridge. It's a racing incident, and we've got to try and move on from that. But ultimately, the end goal is to get back to where it was, back on a bike, and get back to doing what we do best and get back road racing. And there's going to be people out there that are going, you're suicide. Well, I've already had it. People put me down and saying that I'm this, I'm that, I'm the other, and I've got a death wish and I'm not going to be happy till I kill myself and whatnot else. But ultimately, it's all I know. And me, my family, my sponsors, the people that are heavily involved with the team, they all know the crack. They all know what we do it for, why we do it. And it's my decision at the end of the day. It's not time for me to hang up my leathers. It's not time for me to finish what I'm doing. Life's for living. I've still got goals I want to achieve. I've still got races I want to compete at. There's still championships I want to try and win. And until I've done all that, then I'm not going to be happy. So as difficult as the last week has been, especially, nothing will ever come close to the other side of that coin when things are going right. The pain, the trauma, the discomfort, the hurt, everything that I've been through in this last number of weeks still doesn't outweigh that other side of the sport that we all love when it's all going in the right direction. I just feel like I've been robbed a little bit because we were having such a good year, albeit, we had some problems this year with engines and stuff with the Super Twin, and certain things never went our way. But on a whole, I think we had a very successful season up to that point. From International Road Race Championship rounds to Belgian Twin Trophy rounds, we had a fantastic Sutherland 100, and I personally feel like we showcased what our little team was capable of with our results on the 600. And all this was leading up to such what was meant to be a fantastic Manx Grand Prix. And obviously it never turned out to be that Manx Grand Prix, not only for us, but for a lot of people with weather and cancellations and shortened races and stuff. But we had so much potential to do so well this year. But wasn't meant to be. The stars didn't align, and things on the day didn't come to fruition, and there's absolutely nothing you can do about that, or anybody can do about that. It's just the cards that you dealt and the way you've got to get on with it. But I still can't help feel that I was just a little bit robbed of what we could have achieved. But as things stand at the minute, I'm obviously still bandaged up, left arm, back of my left leg. For those of you that don't know, I sustained 7 fractures to my pelvis. The worst one being the hip socket on my left hand side, which had displaced in 4 places, and it required major surgery. Surgery of which took 7 hours, and the complete left hand side of the inside of my pelvis has been plated to secure and fixate all that bone back in place. And then I had a further 2 fractures to the pubic bone and 1 further fracture to the back of the pelvis. And then, like I say, a very deep laceration to my left elbow, and I lost a lot of skin off the back of my left leg. Not to mention bruises, cuts, ribs were bruised, black eye, mark under my chin from my helmet strap. But like I say, I'm not complaining because I'm still here. But it's been a bit of a tough hurdle to get over, and I've still got a long way to go before I'm anyway sort of fit and healthy and I'm back to where I was. But we're doing everything we can to make sure that I'm moving in the right direction all the time, and I'm hoping in another week's time I can get into the hyperbaric chamber. And Dave's a great guy, and he's helped put me back together before, along with Kathy Davis at Rex Physio. So that's the next step, is getting back in with them guys and getting them to help me get back together. But my other half, Aoife, everybody in the team, my family, and I can't sit here and list everybody out, but everybody that's been by my side since that nightmare of a Sunday, I don't know where I'd be without any of them. Even down to the hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of messages, comments, private messages, phone calls that I've had off everybody with their concerns, well wishes. It's all been a little bit overwhelming, to be honest. And I'm so sorry if I haven't had a chance to get back or I've missed messages off people, but hand on heart, I can honestly say yous have all helped me through some really tough times. And like I say, it's I'm not the worst person out there that's sustained injuries, but this has been a tough one to get through, and I know I've still got some tough days and probably tough weeks ahead of me again, but this time around it's really been difficult on the mental state, but we'll get there. I'll keep fighting on, we'll keep pushing forward, we'll keep doing what we're doing, because every day I'm improving and I'm getting stronger, and we're pushing forward. But some days it just feels like I'm one step forward and two steps back, although it isn't. But it's just the way that thing up there plays with you sometimes. But look, we've got some big plans for 2025. I just need to get myself fit, back on the gain train, and hit training as hard as I can, as soon as I can, and when I'm fit enough to do it as well, obviously. But I think once we've had a good stint in the hyperbaric and we've been in with Caffey, it'll help the job on a lot. So yeah, on to the next chapter.